So right now, I was talking to my brother Steve, and I was explaining to him like being a revolutionary is crazy, right? Because essentially, it's like if you imagine that there's different dimensions on this planet Earth, right? God dropped you off in the one that you don't like, and you don't like it so much that you're trying to change the world, right? Like you want to change things about the world. You don't like the politics. You don't like the social realities. You don't like the money systems. You don't like the way your people are treated. He dropped you off in a universe where you're dissatisfied, right, with the way that the world is ran. So therefore, you're always seeking to change things. That's how it feels like being revolutionary. You understand me? And growing up in a space and time in which you see current society and all you want to do is alter reality. It's a very cruel punishment if you really think about it. You understand me? And when I think about that sort of philosophically, it's like this dissonance, right? Of knowing that an alternative reality should or could exist, and then the willfulness to have this undying pain, you know what I mean? To want to change that to alleviate the pain and doing it while you have the energy to stomach the movement, you know, is a very interesting thing. Y'all ever thought about that? Like I wake up and think about this at night before I wake up and I go to sleep. And it's like, why would you drop me off in a world for me to be dissatisfied with it consistently? And then the question becomes, is it about me making the change in the world, or is it about what I learn on the journey of trying to do it? Which one is even more important? Because no revolutionary in their time gets to see the fulfillment completely, right, of their dissatisfaction. Shift. So it is the consistency of like living in this world where you really start reflecting on what are the lessons that God is taking me through that I can then teach others that I leave behind. Because more important than the actual made impact will be lessons your journey that people learn the most from. This is why somebody like a Malcolm X is relatable to all peoples in the world. His story of a man coming from ignorance, develop himself into integrity. You understand me? And challenging the world systems to change. The story is not about how successful he was. It was about how much he fought. It was a story of aligning with one's values, coming from nothing, going against impossible odds, being extremely resilient, learning, a journey of becoming a man, allowing your old self to die and be resurrected, challenging systems that need to be challenged and dying in the face of that on the hill of your own integrity. And how many people learn from that? How many take those lessons, black, white, Jew. You can take all people from all dynamics they learn from Malcolm X, even though in his life he probably not a fault for them. But in his death, he taught them. I think ultimately being a revolutionary is being a teacher, right, of your journey and leaving those values, that insight, that wisdom, and making the world a better place for how you fought, right? Undying purpose is not so much in the accomplishment of your goals completely, as it is more so in the journey of an undying soul that's on fire, right? And if God places you in a place where you're satisfied, maybe you do nothing. Maybe Malcolm stayed red and all we had was a pimp who died in prison. But if he can alter the course of your reality to make you dissatisfied, to make you go through personal shifts and journey, then you can teach millions and millions and you can lead a place better and better for the next souls that enter this realm. I think ultimately that's what being a revolutionary is. It's not about your individual will. It's about what you leave upon the collective consciousness that makes the world better. Huh? Yeah. What y'all think? Anyway, those are my thoughts. Those are my thoughts that I wanted to share with you all. I'm on my way to London stopping in Birmingham, UK. I go speak to the people in London. I was just having that question on my mind, like, why would you put me on this earth? You know what I'm saying? Earth number 19, where I needed to become 19 keys because I'm dissatisfied with how the world has changed or chained, that I needed to become key to unlock those minds, to help the people. And then ultimately you get to this journey of Jesus becoming a Messiah, unlocking your Christ consciousness and living in that capacity, because ultimately the story Yahweh is the story of all of us. A life worth living and a life worth honoring. Will you live like that? Or will you ignore the purpose? Will you ignore the empire? Will you ignore your fellow man? Will you shun away from your fellow people? From the, will you? Or will you exist in that Christ consciousness? Ultimately, that becomes the story of every man, to be a man or a Messiah. That's the evolution. Never let the fire burn out. Keep it eternal. Peace.